Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to mark out all of my points and give them names. A, B, C, D, E on the top, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the bottom. Now, this is a question at about the same caliber as the HSE, where we have a horizontal top and bottom. That makes life much easier, which means we can get started very quickly. Now, what I'm going to say is, if you're not going to do any other aspects, AB is already a true length. We can tell because this line is perpendicular to the viewer in this view, so AB is true there. Similarly, 1, 2 is a true length in this view. We also can determine that this shape here is going to be perpendicular in both of those two corners. Corner BA1 and 2, 1A are both perpendicular. So, knowing that they're both true, I can just get started. I've got 10 mil and 20 mil. So I'm just going to draw straight off. Because I know they're perpendicular, I can get a lot faster and just draw 10 mil and 20 mil. Straight away I've got 2 points. I'm going to mark this as A, 1, B, 2, and I've got some marks. There I've got at least 1 mark already. Now, the next thing I want to do is, so this is going a little bit further, what I find helpful is I find it helpful to draw a small drawing. Now, you don't have to do this. If you're really panicking about time, don't bother, but I have found that drawing a small drawing has helped me to get away with B, C, D, E. It helps me to visualize what I'm looking at. Also, what I like to do is I like to draw a plan of what I think this is going to look like. Just because I'm worried that I might go into that space, I'm going to draw it down here. I'm going to draw it very small. So that's 1A, the seam, 1, 2. That is perpendicular. I already know that. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go from point B. I'm going to find, from point B, I'm going to find point 3 by measuring B3. And it's going to help me to triangulate that. 2 to 3 is going to help me triangulate that. So I've now got that line. BC, I know because it's a true length already. And then if I find C3, from 3, I can go C3. And now I have that face. Finally, I'm only going to do 1, 2, 3 faces. I'm going to go from C, because I've found C, I'm going to go from C to D. And I know that the line CD the point CD has to be somewhere there. I'm going to measure from 3D to find D because 3D is there. So I've now found point D. And then finally, I'm going to find point 4. I'm going to measure from D to get D4. So D4 has to be somewhere on that line. And I'm going to have to find E to 4. E to 4 like that. Now, I would think drawing a little sketch like that, it has shown the marker that you have some idea what you're doing. Now, if you've got 1 minute until pen's down, I would say just simply draw a whole bunch of squares, draw something like that with a compass and put it in. Because at least that will show the marker that you had some idea. You'll probably lose 2 marks. Now, if your dimensions are close, you could even get 3 marks. So, that's my advice if you don't have any idea what you're doing. Now what we're going to do is we're going to find the actual true lengths of these things. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a tick on anything that we can see that's a true length. We've already done this face, so that face is fine. 2B is not a true length. So what we need to do is we need to find the true length. So what we're going to do is we're going to extend a line out here that's going to be the height of our object. If we know the height of our object and if we know the top view dimension of our object, we can find the hypotenuse of our object by calculating that. Now we could calculate it, but what a lot of people will do, and this is the much faster way, is just simply use a compass. I know the height. I know the height from the base to point B if it's totally vertical. I also know the horizontal value if the line was perfectly flat. Because I know those 2 dimensions, what I can then do is I can find the true length, the hypotenuse of those 2 values. So I know that that line from 2 to B is going to be a true value in that value. So now what I have is I'm going to draw this as a true length. That is the true length of 2B. Now...
But you've already found 2B in your other drawing.
Different drawing. Okay.
No, that one.
That's true. It's true. I didn't need to do that one. But what we might find is it's a good point. Thank you. What we'll find is this one here. If this is the same dimension or it's slightly askew. So 3C, the height from the base to C is the same height. Oh, it's also a good idea to label your points here. B, C, this helps you to realize which ones are dots. 4, 5, and D, E. This helps us to find our dots. So if we measure here, the totally horizontal value in the top view of C3 is this size. The height, the vertical height is exactly the same as it was for BC from the horizontally down is exactly the same as it was for B to C is exactly the same. Okay, so I know that is my true length 3C. What else needs a true length? BC is true, 2,3 is true, CD is true, ED is not true. So I need to find a true length for ED. So what I need to do now is I need to measure from 3 to D and say from this length, that is the horizontal value of 3D. I know that the vertical value of 3 to D is that height. So that means that I can then mark this out and say, because it's the same height, D is the same height above the ground, I can mark that out here, and I'm going to get D3, true length. I'll write 3D because I'm writing letters first. Okay, now that I have those true lengths, I can just start triangulating my positions. As you say, we've already done 2B, so now we can just move on to BC. We're going to measure from B, and we know that BC exists somewhere on this line. BC is somewhere there. We also know that what are we finding? What's the other one we're triangulating from? We're going to C. Oh, we're not ready for that one. Okay, we're going to do B3 first. We could have found C first, but I've already marked up this drawing that we're doing. We're finding point 3 first. So I know that point 3, measuring from 2, I know that because this is a true length, 2, 3 is a true length, I know that point 3 has to be somewhere on this line. Point 3 is somewhere on this line. So I'm going to write out here that 2, 3 is somewhere on that line, so point 3 has to intersect. Now, to find where it intersects, we're going to measure from B, and we're going to B3. Now we have true length B3. I did not do true length B3. I'll do that now. Okay, B3, that's the horizontal value of B3. The vertical value is the same for B3. So, true length B3 is here. True length 3B. So I now know the true length of B3. I can measure that off. True length B3 is this long. So measuring from B, I can find where these two lines intersect. B3 is on this line, 2, 3 is on that line. That means that 3 has to be there. Once I've found the point 3, I can measure from point 3 to triangulate my point C. So I have 3C already as a true length. I already found the true length. So if I measure it for 3C, if I measure from 3, I know that 3C has to exist somewhere on this line. 3C is somewhere there. So I'm putting a dot and connecting that, and I know that it has to exist somewhere there. Now I found 3C because I just joined those two up. Now I could check it, a bit of a risk on a video, but it looks pretty good. Okay. Now, CD is a true length, so I'm going to go from C to find D. CD is a true length, so I know that CD is somewhere on that line. CD is somewhere there. What am I going to triangulate it with? 3D. 3D is not a true length there. I have 3D in my true length lines here. 3D is there. So I know that 3D has to be somewhere on this line. 3D is somewhere there, so that means if 3D is on this line and CD is on that line, I know that D has to exist here. D. Okay, to find point 4, which is the last point we'll be finding, D4 is not a true length. So D4, we have to find D4. I did not already find that first. Okay, D4 is not a true length. So I'm getting the horizontal value for D4. I just didn't write it down. I didn't label it correctly. D4 is there, and the horizontal value is the same. D is on the same line, so I can measure off. The vertical value is the same as this line we have here. So now we're going from D to 4, D to 4. I know that 4D is somewhere on that line. Now, lastly, we have 3 to 4. 3 to 4 is a true length. So we get measuring from 3 to find line 3, 4. 3, 4 is somewhere on this line. So that means 4 is here, where those two intersect. And now you'll notice I'm using pen. That's just so that it shows up a little bit better on the drawing. That is about the extent of what you'll have to do in the HSC, right? Likely that is as much as you get. Now, obviously, we could continue and finish off the whole drawing, but for this, usually 3 sections is enough for to demonstrate to the markers what you're doing. That's usually what they're asking for. That's it.